Hey loves, it's your favorite blind lady back on your screen with another one. It's Thanksgiving, so happy holidays to all my Canadians celebrating. I wanted to spread some love in the form of a sweet treat, so today we're gonna make a browned butter pecan cake. Sounds bougie, eh? I found this recipe a couple days ago, committed to getting all the ingredients, which some were expensive, I will admit, since when are eggs $5? Yo, life is expensive. But I wanted to have some fun with it. I love baking. I haven't baked in a minute. When I think of it, it would have been Valentine's Day or even last Christmas, the last time I baked something. All of my time on lockdown, I didn't bake anything. Did you guys? I know a lot of people picked up baking as part of a quarantine and chill hobby, but I was just so in the mix with vlogging and stuff, I never got around to it. So today, I got time, and apparently I got a lot of time, because after I bought the groceries, I realized, wait, prep time? 40 minutes? Say what? Come again? This is the most complicated cake I've ever made. So fingers crossed it comes out okay. I'm bound to make a mistake or a mess, seeing as I have less vision than I did the last time I baked, but we're gonna have fun with it anyway. Let's call this a bake with Blindie. Hey. So anyways, I hope that you enjoy this one. Hit the thumbs up button, comment down below what your favorite dessert is, and let's go. You'll need 3 decorative bowls. Okay, maybe this is just a little extra with it, but I just find these so pretty. I gotta put them in the shot. Are you like me? Are you really into pretty home stuff, or you don't care? Let me know. Anyway, we're starting off by whisking our all-purpose flour to incorporate air and just make sure that it's light instead of being too densely packed. Of course, because this is Bake with Blindie, we're starting off with a mess, but don't you worry, I'll clean up along the way. Whisk, 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 whisk that flour. Moving on to the baking powder. Okay, with this, it asks for 4 teaspoons. If I was conscious, my first blind hack for you that I would have taken myself is instead of doing 4 teaspoons, I would have done 1 teaspoon and 1 tablespoon. The measurement is 3 teaspoons is 1 tablespoon. Adding some oat milk. The recipe called for regular schmegular milk, but I don't have that in my household, so I figured this is gonna be the closest to. And we're gonna add some sour cream. This is what's gonna give your cake that dense but moist. I hate that word so much, but I can't think of another one right now. That very nice texture. Let's leave it at that. So swap that around because it's time to measure out our sugar. I would say a little bit, but let's be real, it's a lot. It is a lot. And to the pecan mixture, we're gonna add some butter and brown sugar. Thank God this recipe only asked for a little bit of brown sugar because that's all I could scrape. I don't know what it is with brown sugar in my house, but it dries out every time. I've tried all the hacks on the internet, nothing helps. By the way, if you do this recipe, follow along, don't memorize it like me, because I forgot the step where you're supposed to chop their pecans prior to adding the mixture. I only realized when it came out clumpy and I tried to do it again here that I was like, wait, what's wrong? Oh, I didn't chop the pecans first. It was too late. It was so far gone, like Drake's album, that we just had to keep going from here. Nothing was the same, okay? I'm letting you know this is the point where everything changed. In the oven it goes for 15 minutes. In the meantime, we're gonna grab some more supplies, more utensils and equipment, so that we can get our mix on. So now we're going to check on this as if maybe the oven chopped the pecans for us. No? Okay, let's just shake it and put it back in for another 10 minutes. Let's add our butter and cream it with the sugar. This is my favorite part of the process. If you get this right, you're golden. This is where you incorporate the air and make sure that it's nice and fluffy so that everything after this part of the process mixes well. In goes the sour cream and 1 egg at a time. I didn't even think about this when I chose this recipe, but this requires 5 eggs, making it hella eggy. If you're like me, possibly add more vanilla extract or find a different recipe altogether, because this did taste on the eggy side. It still was delicious, but personally I don't like eggy tasting cakes, so just keep that in mind. We'll add the water to the milk. I have no idea what that step was for, but that's what the recipe said. And then we're gonna add a little bit of milk, a little bit of flour, a little bit of milk, a little bit of flour. until it's all mixed up. We scrape down the sides. We spent 5 years of a life doing this. And this would be the part where you'd add the chopped pecans, except because I memorized the recipe, I kind of forgot this part. This is one of the things about being visually impaired, because you can't just always look over quickly and glance at something. It kind of messes up with situations sometimes. So now we're gonna chop up those pecans and poke them in. Hashtag improv. And we're gonna put them into these cake pans. We're gonna pop them in the oven. The recipe said to put them in the oven, or oven, I don't know what it's called. I still don't know. For 25 minutes at 350. I ended up putting it in for 45 minutes because when I checked on it the first time, it wasn't cooked. It was not baked all the way through. So I ended up keeping the little ones in, and it got so late at night that I ended up multi-masking. So if you're wondering what that white stuff on my face is, pharmacy mask, bless. Anyways, I'm cutting the cake. I'm not even poking with the toothpick, so I wanna make sure at this point that it's cooked. Whoop, that was hot. That was hot. It's still hot. Why is she still holding it? All right, this is the part where you try to level out your cakes if you're making a petit gâteau, trying to make it fancy with it. You can tell from here. I can tell from here in the editing process, but in real life, I couldn't tell. Thanks to Stargardt disease, this looked perfectly level to me. But as you will see, as you can see now, this is not even at all, but we're gonna go with that. This video is brought to you by Philadelphia. Nah, I wish I was sponsored by them, but you know, if you're watching, holla at a girl. So this cream cheese frosting was the perfect way to shortcut making one from scratch, because after everything I've already been through, I'm like, I'm not spending another hour making homemade cream cheese frosting. So this was on sale. It was the perfect consistency and it wasn't too sweet. I still decided to go light on it because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like every year I like sweets less and less. It's so trippy. Here is my favorite part, decorating. This reminds me of when I used to ice cakes with my great grandma. As you can tell, I haven't improved since then. I think a 9-year-old would do a better job than me. Actually, the 9-year-olds that I used to teach at the middle school did do better than me. So in between, I'm washing the spatula with cold water just so that I don't drag the frosting. I'm trying to make it look as pretty as a visually impaired girl can possibly make it. At one point, I'm just like, it's midnight. I gotta go to sleep. So that's why I'm wearing a different shirt and it's a whole new day. I'm adding one more layer of frosting and I'm like, that's it. Now we're adding the butter pecans to the bottom, and I ended up snacking on some of these because it was so tasty. This rim though, let's reverse that. I'd rather make the trim a little prettier. I think it turned out well, not bad, I think. I mean, I can't see what I'm doing, so all things considered, now that it's zoomed in on my screen, I'm like, ooh, that cake is... A blind fairy must add some angel dust. Segue. So the butter pecan cake looked UGLY. My only alibi is my vision loss. So we're gonna do it again. No. Actually, let's switch it up. We're gonna do a completely different recipe. This is one that my girl Evie, hey, if you're watching, recommended I do. It's gonna be this delicious olive cake. So much easier to make, and the decorating is just a little sift powdered sugar. You good? This turned out so blessed. I already had a bite and amazing. I made a bigger version for my Friendsgiving tonight. Look at that. We won't watch the two parts where the parchment paper molded into it, you know. Something's always gonna happen when it comes to baking with Blindie. Round 2 starts off with a shopping spree. That Alicia's Guide Muji bag was courtesy of Muji, by the way. And I just needed to get a few ingredients from Bulk Barn. It was so cheap. It was cheaper than the first cake. And although you can tell I'm taking out a lot of utensils, some that I used yesterday, some brand new ones, and a lot of ingredients, she's doing the most here. Literally doing the most. Anyway, it's actually the most simple, balanced cake I've ever made. Although you could never tell by the stuff she continues to take out of the cupboard. Baking soda. No, baking soda. I got baking soda. Once we've got all 9,000 ingredients, organize it, measure it. Oh look, not as messy as the last time. This is off to a good start already. This part though, I know it's an olive oil cake, but I didn't realize we need this much olive oil. And to use my phone to actually see, do you see what I have to go through on the daily? This magnification app is my everything every single day. But sometimes, even like this, it's jerky. So I had to pour some in to pour some back out. Use my finger to make sure it was right. Did I get it right? Did I get it right? Oop, the price is right. Okay, that's not the right game. Now I'm just sifting the cake flour just like the last recipe, just to aerate the cake. Even though I always wondered, what's the point of sifting if you're gonna whisk all the dry ingredients? Now we're gonna add some almond extract. It smells so good. And some baking powder. Go to the zoo to get some salt. And actually I prefer this salt. We're just gonna use Himalayan salt. And watch this. This is the definition of struggle. What is going on here? But don't worry, because I'm so perseverant, I managed to get exactly what I needed from that orange. I tried to whisk the almond flour. It was too much, so I just gave up. On to le lemon. I gotta squeeze. I don't know why it's so hard for me to squeeze lemons every time. I just needed 2 tablespoons, so we got that. Same with the orange. And squeeze 3 tablespoons. This is what's gonna give your cake the perfect balanced citrusy zest. It's blessed. Now that we have all 10,000 ingredients measured out and neatly organized, we're gonna mix all our dry ingredients, lightly whisk, lightly set to the side. Oh, I forgot lemon zest. Watch me struggle more. This is the first cake I've made in a long time that the first step with the wet ingredients is to mix, or should I say blend the eggs, add the oil and the sugar, and they said to do it until you see ribbons. I don't know what that meant, so I just did it until it got really, really, really frothy and you could kind of see lines. I'm like, I guess that's what ribbons are. Sometimes recipes are just so weird to me. So anyways, I'm gonna add some of the orange zest, a little bit of flour, some of the lemon zest, a little bit of flour, and then the orange and lemon juice, and scrape the side to make sure everything is incorporated well. You see this? This was my warning, but I ignored it. I put it in the oven, and just like a typical Scorpio, my stubbornness just told me to cut it, although my intuition said this is not gonna end well. I put it back in the oven. At least the little cute one was for my mom, and that came out perfectly. Now we're gonna work on the topping, which is just powdered sugar and zest. After 10 minutes, I put it on, but you can always do this right when you put it in the oven to save yourself a step. And I'm gonna put it in for, how long did I put it in? Like 18 more minutes at 350. It turned out really, really well. Don't mind the defects because of the parchment paper. This tasted so good, and it's not too sweet either. I highly recommend this cake and the other one if you have more of a sweet tooth. Let me know which one you try. If you enjoyed baking with Blindie, hit the like button and subscribe. Until next time, love and later.